All right, call this meeting to order. My new gavel. Welcome everyone to Monday, March 20th. We have some guests this evening. We have Maggie and Marilyn, as well as in the audience we have Joanne and Patty, right? Pat, thank you. Welcome. So first of all, we're going to do approval of the agenda. That the agenda for council meeting March 20th be approved as presented. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Lockett and Councillor McConnell, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Item 3 is declarations of interest. Is there any declarations of interest tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. Under 4.1, we have regrets from United Way's Jane Hess tonight, so she's not available tonight. But we also have Adam Mode from Service Line Warranties Program. I think he's joining us via Zoom tonight. Adam, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
The floor is yours, sir.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. If you don't mind, I'm just going to share my screen here. I do have a presentation to show everybody, so let me know once you can see it. Looks like it's showing on your screens there.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so I'll begin. So my name is Adam Modi. I am a partnership manager for SLWC, Service Line Warranties of Canada. I've been with the company for about 1.5 years now, and I'm the day-to-day contact for our municipal partners. I appreciate you giving me this time to provide a brief update and overview of the Service Line Warranty Program. We've been fortunate to have been working with Prescott with the program since the last few years now, since 2020. And I'm really here today because the program has been available for a few years, and we just wanted to make sure that everyone on council had a full understanding of the program and then was able to ask any questions they may have about it. So during my overview, I will quickly walk through who we are, why Prescott is partnered with us, how the program works, how the program benefits the town and residents, and then of course, as I mentioned, I will go over any questions anyone has. So I'll just start with a quick overview of who we are. So the Service Line Warranty Program originally launched in Canada in 2014 with our first partner, Hamilton, Ontario, after responding to an RFP from them. We were then invited by AMO, Local Authority Services, to offer our program to their other members, and we're now partnered with over 70 municipalities across Ontario and Alberta. And in fact, across North America, we actually work with 1,100 municipalities and utilities and serve over 4.8 million homeowners. Our management team is locally based in Ontario, and we have employees across the GTA and Quebec. I myself am located in Mississauga, originally from Kingston, Ontario. Our parent company, HomeServe, was recently acquired by Brookfield Infrastructure Partners, a Canadian-based asset management company. And as I mentioned, we have been partnered with Prescott since 2020, with the program officially launching, I believe, in the beginning of early 2021. So why do municipalities partner with us? Well, many municipalities find that homeowners are typically not aware of their responsibility for service lines on their private property. In the event of an issue or failure, it's not uncommon for them to call up their municipal offices only to find out that they're on their own for the repairs, and then from there to determine if they have any coverage or not, and then of course finally to coordinate those repairs themselves. So the partnership with SLWC helps inform residents of their responsibilities for service lines on private property, typically through mailings sent out and paid for by SLWC, and provides them with the option to sign up for the voluntary warranty plans offered by us, Service Line Warranties, if a resident is interested in being financially protected from a service line issue. Our program operates as a warranty on the service lines themselves, and in the event of a failure, works to restore the line back to operational status by arranging for and paying the contractors directly up to a plan's benefit amount. Typically, basic homeowner policies do not cover the lines themselves, but rather cover any damage caused by the failure of a particular line. And while some insurance providers may offer add-on coverage, not all do. So our plans do ensure that everyone who may be interested in some form of coverage is able to obtain some, as well as provide options where other coverage may be available. Overall, optional plans from SLWC can help protect homeowners from potentially expensive repairs to their service lines, provide them with the convenience of not having to find and vet their own contractors, and then, of course, encouraging residents to deal with leaks quickly. We work with our municipal partners to communicate the program through channels most appropriate for their residents and ones that can really make sure that anyone who is interested in this type of program can find information on it. Once residents have received our mailing or potentially other communications and have had a chance to review the information, then they are free to make an informed decision related to their service line, exterior water and sewer service lines. A 2021 survey conducted on behalf of SLWC noted that 66% of homeowners believe they were not responsible for damaged water and sewer lines on their private property, which does highlight the need to inform residents while also making sure some solution is available to them. So we partner directly with municipalities and to offer this service line warranty program to residents, and it's not available in communities where we don't have a formal agreement. The agreement does allow us to promote the program to homeowners, including the use of the municipality's logo, which helps lend credibility to the information and encourages residents to review the material. Overall, the partnership helps ensure residents can trust the information they receive, and then from there learn about the responsibilities for exterior service lines, and then weigh the benefits of the optional plans we offer. Our partnership also means that we're able to effectively get our information out to residents and can therefore offer our plans at affordable rates, which makes this a viable option for interested homeowners. We're typically not a company most residents would have heard of, and we do want to make sure that residents can really trust the information they are reviewing and will not consider it a scam or illegitimate. All material we send does indicate that our plans are optional and voluntary, and the town does not administer or run the program, and of course, no public funds are used to run the program. Our communications arm residents with information on their service line responsibility, and then from there, residents are free to sign up for one of our plans. They may choose to review their options with their external existing insurance provider, or they may choose to take no action at all, but of course, they do benefit from the information that they are receiving. So I'll just quickly run through some of the benefits that our program offers municipalities and residents. So one is an educational awareness campaign done at no cost to the town of Prescott. Again, these lines are typically often out of sight and out of mind until an emergency arises. So informing residents ahead of time does allow them to properly prepare in case of such an emergency. We don't send material to residents without review and approval from staff, so you can be confident in the material we do send. We also do not market door to door or over the phone, and we work with the town to promote the program in ways that everyone could agree upon. Our plans include the thawing of frozen lines. Our repair service hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, including holidays. So we can always be reached if you're faced with a service line issue. We arrange for the contractor directly, which alleviates the need for residents on one of our plans to find and vet their own. If a resident chooses to cancel a plan, that's relatively easy. There's no long-term commitments, so plans can be canceled within 30 days notice. Plan pricing does not increase when a customer makes a claim. They can make multiple claims a year up to the applicable benefit amount. We are legally liable for any work completed by our contractors, which helps protect the town from liability due to work on shared service lines. And then finally, all our work is covered by a 1-year guarantee, so and everyone can be confident in the work completed through one of our plans. So I just want to take a moment here and make sure we're aware of our CARES program. So CARES is an initiative that we've set up to help residents in need. Basically, if a resident in one of our partner communities is faced with a service line emergency and is unable to pay for the repairs, they can apply for assistance from us. If approved, we'll be able to tap into our network of contractors to help get that resident up and running again. So the program is open to all residents in communities that are partnered with SLWC and is really aimed towards low-income households who currently do not have any form of coverage or could otherwise otherwise could not pay for their repairs. I know many times residents call the municipality looking for assistance and unfortunately may not even realize that they were on the hook for those repairs themselves. And in these cases, unfortunately, there's not much the town could do because it is a private side matter. But we do hope this program can help these residents and really make an impact in your community. So if you do become aware of anyone in such a situation, you can reach out to myself directly. And then lastly, I'll just go over a few quick stats. So since launching in early 2021, I believe we completed 5 mailing campaigns with Prescott and 71 residents have enrolled in the program. Overall enrollment is affected by many factors, including how long we've been partners, the amount of communications and information that's been put out about the program. In general, we're averaging about 2.5% of residents in our partner communities having signed up for a plan, but I am happy to say in Prescott, we're averaging about 3.2%. Of course, as I mentioned, service lines are generally out of sight and out of mind, so homeowners' responsibility is also typically out of sight and out of mind, as well as our plans, unless they're being actively discussed. So we're more than happy to continue to work with you to promote the program through means and channels that really make sense to your community and to your residents, and allow people to easily find information about our program and learn more about their service line responsibility. The program is designed to be a long-term partnership, given that service lines are an essential component of the home and continue to age, and coverage is not always available. So I thank you for your time, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to provide this program to your residents. And with that, answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I know we've had a good partnership for the last couple of years, so I'm just going to open the floor up to any questions from the council. Anyone have a question for Adam? Councillor Locke?
Hi, Adam. I'm just wondering, with the 71 people that we have signed up, has there ever been a claim?
Yes, so typically, as time goes on, enrollments and claims increase. So at the moment, I think we've had a few. I think we've had 2 or 3 claims in the last year or 2.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Kirkby?
Hi, Adam. Is there are you able to provide a price, or is there an average cost to the
Yeah,
program?
100%. So we have 3 plans that we sell. We sell them individually for either the water service lines. And I will note that I don't know if you have well service in your area, but our plans will cover well or water lines, or sewer and septic lines. And then we also have an interior plan. So in your case, for the sewer plan, it would be $7.25 a month. For the water plan, $5 a month. And for our interior plumbing plan, it would be $6.50 a month.
Thanks, Adam. I actually had it in front of me and I didn't realize that, but I just wanted to test you.
No worries. And all our information on the program is online. So if anyone goes to our website, our full set of terms and conditions, pricing, and all that information is there when you put in your postal code.
It's on social media, Adam. Is that something that as counselors we can share, or the town?
We do work with our partners to share information on the program through social media. Yes, and I believe Prescott does, usually around the mailings we send out, but some of our partners also put information out about the program outside of our normal mailing windows, and that's something we usually work with staff on.
And last but not least, and maybe it's on the sheet that I haven't looked at, and I apologize, but I didn't see it in my notes that came out. So what is the average cost of a claim if a homeowner doesn't have this coverage?
Oh, good question. I don't know it off the top of my head because there's so many variables that go into it. We do have a national standard. It's for a replacement of a piece of sewer. It's somewhere around $2,500. It's a little less for a water line. So if you had to replace a certain amount of sewer line or a certain amount of water line, it's usually a few $1,000s. But again, it very much depends. A colleague of mine actually had to replace her entire. I don't know how much of it, but she had to replace her sewer line about a year after moving into her home. It was a historical home, and she paid close to $6,500 for repairing it. So it really just depends on the extent of the work and whether or not a repair can be done over a replacement.
Perfect. Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
McConnell?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. I'm not sure I'm remembering this correctly from last term, but when this was first proposed to us, was there not a kickback per contract that went to the town of Prescott?
Yeah, so Prescott relieves a 5% royalty in all plans that residents sign up for. It's a licensing agreement for participation and endorsement with the municipal logo, as well as to compensate for time that staff participate in reviewing material or putting information out about the program.
That's what you happen to have that figure of what it is to date?
The total amount, no, but I could confirm. But it's 5% in general. I'd have to talk to our accounting department to confirm the exact amount paid.
Does any of our staff have that figure?
Not offhand.
I think. Okay, thank you.
I can confirm that and get back to that. Okay.
Any other questions from council? None. Okay. Thank you, Adam.
No problem. Thank you very much.
See you again next year. All right. Okay, item 5 is delegations. So tonight we have a delegation from Maggie Jordan and Marilyn Lilick regarding the Riverwalk Creative Center. So they're here. They're gonna park right in front there and go ahead. It's all yours.
Hey, thank you for taking the time to consider our proposal for Riverwalk Creative Center here in Prescott. Marilyn and I felt compelled to bring forward this opportunity to expand the presence of creative arts in Prescott and the surrounding areas. Prescott presently is underserved in the availability of attending arts programs. St. Lawrence College in Brockville is closing a portion of its fine arts program, transferring the need for such programming to local areas. Fortunately for us, the college is gifting the contents of its pottery studio. We think Prescott is an ideal location for such a program to flourish. I come firsthand as someone who has benefited from engaging in creative arts my whole life. I first tried the potter's wheel when I was about 6 years old. It was in the basement of a cooperative nursery school, and I remember my toes just barely touched the wheel that I was sitting at. The members were kind enough to show me how to prepare my clay and center the wheel, and eventually I made a dish. And to this day, I remember that visceral experience and the joy of creativity. Throughout my life, I've been able to continue taking pottery at various locations, schools, private studios, and community centers. As well, I have maintained a home studio wherever is possible, wherever I am. Having a creative outlet has given me some of the same benefits of what sports can offer for my personal development and well-being. Where there is art, people will come. Riverwalk Creative Center would be a fine complement to the existing Shakespeare Festival and existing Fine Arts Guild. The center would be an artistic destination for those who are in town, those who are passing through town, and those who are staying in town, maybe for a weekend visit. The spin-off for our local businesses, summer markets, and community events will benefit with artistic presence of programs in the community calendar. And Marilyn and I are very excited to spearhead this project, becoming integral persons for the ongoing success. And we need the support of this chamber to partner with this incentive. Our vision is a common place that has options to grow, offering diverse programs under the same roof. A creative hub exploring many mediums of creative arts. The vision can start with a pottery studio, with programming that speaks to wellness, discovery, heritage and history, and learning through play. Mud for your health, bowls with soul, vessels and plates, clay creations. We have a few ideas. Our incentive is to offer an open call for all levels, novice or experienced, to meet in creativity and share through form and function of clay. As good as all this sounds, we are under a bit of pressure to come forth to the college with our final intention. They are making a decision by the end of the month. There are other offers. We have heard that Gananoque is also competing. We acted as fast as we could, putting together the proposal, the equipment proposal that I'm hoping you all have a copy and maybe have had a chance to review, just to see the scope of what's at stake here. And our intention is clearly motivated to benefit the town of Prescott, its residences, its businesses, and the surrounding areas. Thank you for giving us your immediate attention, as we hope you will also see potential for the Riverwalk Creative Center.
Okay, and I'll pick it up on that note and ask, why would this proposal be such a good idea? Like, what are some of the reasons why you think it's a good idea to be bringing forward? We see it as a golden opportunity. I mean, the college has we estimated $85,000 worth of pottery equipment that they've had in use now for decades, actually. Pottery equipment is not inexpensive, let's put it that way. A fully stocked studio is pretty pricey. So we have a golden opportunity here to inherit this and to use it to stimulate and enrich the area and surrounding area with fine arts. And in doing so, we'd be providing accessible and affordable programming. And I'll speak to that just a little bit later. So this programming has the potential to benefit people physically, and that's like through just relaxation. And there's been studies as well as anecdotal evidence about people perceiving less pain, when they're doing a creative activity, and working with clay is one of them. They can benefit mentally through stress reduction and focused attention, and just personal satisfaction and achievement, from the creative process itself. Spiritually, there's been a number of studies that look at this too. A personal healing journey can be facilitated through working with a medium like clay, and not just a personal one, but a cultural one. Can speak to some of the Aboriginal. This piece here is a piece of Iroquois pottery that we could be a part of that healing journey as well. I mean, we're situated on native lands, and if we were able to establish a relationship where we could have guest representatives coming into the creative center and sharing their techniques and their knowledge and their skills, not only would we be benefiting, but the respect and the affirmation that the individuals are getting in response would be a bonus. And then there's the economic benefit that Maggie touched on as well, as far as the local businesses, and eventually maybe even tourism. I mean, we could say, I don't know how many of you have looked at the original proposal, but we talked about the possibility of advertising as stay and play, a destination, right? And I mean, if it's attractive enough, and Prescott is a beautiful area, to have a center like that situated, it's encouraging, for people to give it a try. And of course, everybody benefits from that. So as Maggie said, the college does have a number of proposals that they're considering. Their cutoff was actually March the 15th, was last Friday. And when we submitted our proposal, we indicated that we would be presenting to council today. So they're aware of that. And we were told that they're probably not going to be making their final decision until the end of this month. So as it stands right now, our proposal is in the running, and it will stand based on your agreement and your support. So some of the other proposals are for they're called cooperatives, where it's more about potters setting up an organization for potters themselves, right, to be continuing working their craft. Ours is different than that. We actually haven't heard what Canadapolis bid might be. I don't know if it's going to be similar to ours or if they have something different in mind. But what I'd like to do is just highlight 5 key factors that add strength to our proposal. And the first one, and it's a powerful one, is this partnership model that we're talking about, where we're looking at establishing a nonprofit, and this is a minimal nonprofit. This isn't, a nonprofit where we're so concerned about the financial part of it. we'd be leaving the expertise to existing areas in town council, right, that are experienced and well respected for doing that. But this idea of partnering a nonprofit with a municipality, it's something that it looks like it's quite successful in other locations. Scarborough is one example. That Cedar Ridge Creative Center does the same type of programming that the college does. It offers studio hours, just like the college does, but at less than 1/3 of what the college charges. So, I mean, it's a significant difference. I think what happens in the college environment, because they're so focused and structured on academics and the actual courses, their mandate doesn't allow them, the flexibility to open the program as we're suggesting. Over a number of decades now, the college has introduced people to pottery, and there's quite a following in the area, but it's an expensive hobby to pursue on an individual basis. There's some that have sustained their interest by establishing a small pottery group. They tend to be very certainly isolated in their activities. What we're suggesting is the opposite of that. We're looking at making the affordability something that if somebody has their interest piqued and they do want to pursue it, they're going to be able to do so at a very reasonable cost. So a second key factor is that Prescott has existing infrastructure that's available. And the other thing that I think the college looks at quite favorably is the stewardship aspect of having Prescott or a municipality, it could be Gananoque too, receiving and keeping safe all of the material, all of the equipment that they're going to be sharing. They want to make sure that it's going into hands where it's going to be treated well and respected. And as far as the existing structures within Prescott, it looks like there's a number of choices. I mean, we just, off the top of our heads, kind of thought, oh gee, what about this place, that place? And, we looked into a few of them, not in any great detail, but it does look like there's a number of choices available, and the town does own most of those options that we looked at. Some are underutilized, and they're listed on the addendum that I passed around today. But I mean, you people know much better the resources that are available in town, right, as to what,
So Marilyn, not to interrupt, but can you just tell us exactly what you want from council?
Oh, okay. Okay, so this nonprofit, like I said, the way we sort of conceive this, it's more like the nonprofit would be looking after the actual programming, the arts programming, delivering it, scheduling it, bringing in guests, working with the guild, like the Fine Arts Guild in the area, doing tasks like that. But the actual receiving of this equipment, the storage of it, the placement of it in a venue that the town agrees would be suitable. That's the part we can get. I mean, there's some people are making proposals where they're running around and they're looking at investing their own funds in a building. We can't do that. And I don't think that's the best thing to be doing either. Like, I think if the town sees enough value in what we're proposing, then that's where you would come in. That's the partnership that we're looking for. And the financial part of it, like the actual monitoring of the finances, rather than us having a bookkeeper keeping track of everything. If we're using or the town is using the existing financial resources, right, to be tracking everything, So, I mean, that's grant money. That's, it's whatever funds are coming in or going out, right? I mean, I think they need to be monitored on that type of level.
All right, thank you. Can I open it up for questions?
Sure, I'm not quite finished, but sure.
How much longer do you need?
Okay, you know what? I'll touch on these other parts really quickly because I know I've been kind of expanding on things. But one of them, okay, another key factor is that there is grant funding. Like it looks like there's grant funding available. I mean, I just did a cursory look and found two in the Trillium and the federal grant.
Have you applied for any of those grants?
We haven't, no.
You want the town to apply for them?
No, not necessarily. I have had personal experience with grant funding. I'd be happy to, take that on or to certainly be a part of it, right? The town may be aware of other grant sources. I mean, this was just a preliminary look and it was capital funding that I was looking at, not operating. The thing about nonprofit and the town partnering is that there's probably more avenues of funding that are available. Some for a nonprofit, some for a municipality. That I'm guessing. I'm not sure that I know that for sure. But there are two grants that I found, and one of them has a deadline in June. I think it's up to $150,000, that particular grant. And the other one is open-ended. It can be, the federal grant can be applied to at any point. Okay, the fourth point is the locale, like Prescott itself, where it's situated. It's beautiful. It's a popular retirement place. There's heritage right within the area, and there's the Indigenous connection. The seed has also been planted with the college in our proposal. I don't know if you noticed it or not, about somewhere along the line, the college may, if we've got an established art center here, they may want to use it as a satellite for some of their own programming. In other words, right now they're doing away with the ceramic arts programming. They would have an option to be bringing that back and using our structure. Okay, so then there's, possible, extra funding and, you guys can, work that out sort of thing, right? But it might be an attractive option for them at some point down the road. Right now, they're making this decision to stop the ceramic program, not because of the interest. It's because they're getting more funding to expand their nursing program and they need the room. That's the bottom line. Okay, and then, so the fifth key thing is looking at them, looking at us, the founders, or last but not least. Because I think what you're looking at here is you've got two people in Maggie and myself. We're skilled in complementary areas. Our experience contributes, to what we're trying to achieve here. And we're both passionate about pottery and exploring and preserving the arts. I mean, it's something that we're starting with pottery because this is what's happening currently, right? And this equipment is like, it's an expensive gift that, if we can incorporate it, if we can utilize it in, some way that's going to benefit so many different people in many different ways, then I think we need to seriously consider that. We just see it as a win-win-win opportunity. The more we thought about this, the more options we saw. I mean, you don't do it all at once. You start off small, right? But the thing is that there's already a big base of potters in the area who I think would really welcome a facility that has offered the service at such a reduced cost. Like it's just a third less than what is typical. Anyway,
All right. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. Who wants to go first? Any questions for Maggie and Marilyn?
You,
Mary, and then Justin.
had a great presentation. I'm totally for differing recreational opportunities in town. I'm still unclear as to the partnership, so would, for grants, would you be asking, even though you may write the words, are you asking the town to put the grant in? Would it be under the auspices of the town or your company?
Oh, okay. I think there's some grants that can be a municipality or a nonprofit, like they're that way. So I mean, I guess it would be looking back at the experience of the town with that particular grant funder, like, you know, have you guys been successful as a municipality? Well, maybe it's better to put it in as a municipality. But there's other grants that, especially operating grants from, you know, what I've been seeing, that it might be much better for us to be putting it in as a nonprofit, just strictly as a nonprofit. So I think it would be dependent on your experience, which, you know, I don't know what that is, and, you know, what the particular grant is specifying.
If it goes through the town, then that limits, like that's a one shot a year kind of thing, so
I see.
it might limit what, I don't know what the town wants to apply for example, for Trillium or whatever, but then that's it for that year. So if you are able, as your not-for-profit, to put in for grant money, then.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be additional.
Yeah. And then the building use, are you expecting the town to be paying for the hydro and all those kind of things? What is your space ask?
That's really hard. Well, operating costs for, hydro is a big aspect of the studio for ventilation and use of the kilns and so forth. We need space and we need the space modified to suit the studio's needs. The part of their equipment is also the water traps, because there's a whole water system so that the clay is reused and not going into the pipes and so forth. So that comes with the equipment. That's a very valuable aspect as well. But we need space, and we would look for grant money to modify the space to a company so that we can get the work done that we need. The electricity is the electricity and ventilation are the big factors.
So it can't be a multi-use room where you pack up and then the bridge players come in or something.
No.
Okay.
No, it's a dedicated space.
Dedicated space. Okay. So the college is not going to do, I'm just thinking about competitions, so they're not going to do any more of this in the area.
No.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean they wouldn't think about revisiting at some point.
We don't know.
We don't know that.
Yeah, no, I just wondered if there'd be competition. So if they continued a little bit, then people would say, well, I live in Brockville, why should I go to Prescott?
Okay, the big difference would be the price. The big difference would be the consumer price. And it is a big difference.
Yeah.
It's not just a few dollars difference.
Yeah, and the equipment like that we've listed in the inventory covers a lot of uses for the studio doing pottery. There's a very large slab roller. There's different pieces of equipment to do different techniques. So other pottery cooperatives, let's say the groups that we know of, that stay quite small because of the headache, I think, of getting everybody's opinion to agree on something. And they don't offer as much for the equipment use. So this would be an attractive studio. You'd be overwhelmed by how much the equipment would offer. Yeah, it would be a desirable place to come to, and people would drive for that, definitely.
Sure.
So the moving of the equipment.
Right.
Is either town staff or we would pay to have.
Right.
That's
We were
right.
hoping the town would be a big
Yeah.
part of that.
And the colleges, I think that's quite high up on their list in, you know, making their decision too, is the stewardship. Is they're not likely to give, some of these, like a pottery wheel is $3,000 and, you know, just 12 of them. They're not likely to, you know, just give that to somebody who wants to consider, you know, continue doing pottery.
Yeah.
They want to ensure that it's safely moved, that it's going to be, you know, stored properly, that it, and that it has a defined use, like it's got a clear use. So just that level of responsibility that comes with a town or a municipality is one of the things, you know.
Pottery isn't seasonal, for example, if
No.
we used, you had mentioned the tennis building, but it isn't heated during the winter. So it would have to be heated, et cetera, all year round.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Councillor Kirkby?
Yes, I think Councillor Campbell answered my one question for me about the storage. Is it there long-term? Can it be packed up? So that question's been answered. And I would just say that, have you asked South Grenville District High School, who has plenty of rooms? Their population is quite a bit down from previous years, who has an art program in place. Have you thought about looking to partnership with some school boards or high schools? Do you know what I mean? That might be a better fit than something of the town.
I think we were talking about that a little bit when I was first speaking about it, was that maybe there was some space in schools.
Right.
That was, we threw that out, but we also were favorable to find something close to the river, close to the land, close to the shoreline, just for that whole heritage ambience and significance of the area. But yeah, I don't know. We haven't really, we didn't go through the schools.
Well, I think the Grenville District High School has a pretty strong art program. You know, they may be interested. I'm not sure if they're aware of this. It may be an option of interest to them.
Maybe.
And they do offer, you know, open space at night and stuff like that. So it could be a great partnership there also.
Anything
Put
else?
that out there.
Good idea. Thank you, Councillor Kirkby. Anyone on this side? Councillor Young?
That the art's a great thing. One thing that I was thinking about is that maybe if your business plan at this point may be a little in the beginning stages, right? If you had to actually, if you were gifted this equipment, how much storage area would you require until maybe you got your plan more?
Yeah.
Well, the current
The studio,
room is
yeah.
1,700 square feet.
So how much?
All laid out.
But that's laid out
Yeah,
with
laid
walking
out.
space, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, half that. maybe.
1,000 square feet.
Yeah, 800 square feet. But it has to be, yeah, the storage is, yeah, we did think about that if a place wasn't ready right away, if it could possibly be stored somewhere secure. Yeah, this is our, you know, our kick at the can kind of thing. It's come up very fast, and the college, you know, set quick deadlines, and we just, you know, put it into gear, and we really saw it as a something that the town would benefit from. So this is the route we've gone. Nonprofit is more sustainable than having to try to constantly, you know, get the funds through the courses to pay for itself. So We know that there are ways to go about making this happen. It's just that we need support, really. That's what we're looking for.
See, and I guess we turn to you first, because of the model, the nonprofit model that that I spoke about in Scarborough, the Cedar Ridge Creative Center. I mean, Toronto is not known for being inexpensive. Like if you would have thought that a program being offered in Toronto, similar, would be more costly. Well, that's the program that is less than a third of what we're paying here. So if the city of Toronto can do it, and they're doing it on they've got a beautiful, it's a mansion, it's on a beautiful piece of property, whatever, right? And they've restored it and, turned it into this creative center. It's a wonderful place. Got a guild as well.
Any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you for coming. So the wheels of municipal government run a little slower.
Yeah.
So usually what happens is you make the presentation, then we usually sit on it, think on it, and then next meeting, we make a decision on it. So that may not fall into your timelines. I checked while you were doing your talk, and our next meeting is April 3rd. So that's at the end of the month. So we'll endeavor to get a response to you either at that time or before if we can. Okay, but I appreciate you coming and very informative and it's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. All right, moving along, 7 is communications and petitions. There are no items under that, so we're going to move on. Sorry? Oh, I did miss the minutes. So we'll go back one. Minutes of the previous council meeting. 6.1, there's a motion that the council minutes dated March 6, 2023 be accepted as presented. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Burton, seconded by Councillor Young. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor? Great, thank you. Communications and petitions, pass. We're going to move to consent reports. We have 3 items under consent reports. We have the information package, first of all. Was there anything in the information package 8.1? Anyone wants to take out? And then in 8.2, there is the annual report from the Prescott Cemetery Board. This report is for information only.
I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask about that. I don't know if we need to take it out or want me to do it now.
Do we need to take it out or can she just ask a question?
Just questions we
For
can.
information, yeah. Let's see. Under the financial report, it was saying that there's partial refund from HST of $1,936.48. I didn't know if that came back to the cemetery account or if that came into the town. I didn't see it in the cemetery financial. I saw where it was the 2,900 was paid, but I didn't see if the 1936 came in or where exactly that goes.
So it's separate.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
McConnell pointed it out to me.
And cemetery does have its own set of books from the town, so.
Yeah, I think that was the, yeah, I think that was it.
Good, thank you. Anyone else on the cemetery board? Questions?
No, I'm on the board, but there's a couple things I'd like to point out. First of all, we've had Fraser Lossinger looking after the cemetery essentially since we took it over shortly after that, and he's done a tremendous job. And I've said every year that he's given his report, if Fraser ever retires, it's gonna cost us money for somebody to replace him. And interestingly enough, that's exactly what's going to happen, because Fraser's gonna operate for us temporarily on a consultant basis for a stipend. We are short of somebody on the board to take over the chairman's position. Nobody on the board was willing to do it. I volunteered for one position. Teresa volunteered for another position. But nobody was willing to take on the chairman's position. So we are actively searching for another member of the board. It's, I don't want to scare anybody off, but there is a fair amount involved in it. It's almost like a business. You get a call from somebody who wants to buy a plot, or somebody whose parent or relation has passed away and they want to arrange a burial. So it's not a 9-to-5 type job. It's something you may not have anything to do for 2 weeks, then all of a sudden you have a busy weekend. So, the other board members are willing to help out to a certain extent with that job, but we do need another person for the job, or for the board, who is willing to take on some responsibility.
Financial or?
No.
No.
Not financial. Between Teresa, who has lots of financial experience, and the town, we have the financial individual Culver. Gee, that's not too far from Tim Hortons.
Moving right along.
Anyway, I just put that out there. If there's somebody that has some organizational experience, that has some time to volunteer, the cemetery board would be more than happy to talk to you. And I suggest perhaps you give Matthew a call at town hall here, an email, drop in, whatever. And we'll put you together with Fraser. He can explain exactly what's involved, and we will go forward.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing else on the cemetery board? We'll move on to item 8.3, staff report 17-2023, statement of remuneration and expenses, member of council. Do we want to talk to that, Matt, or?
Oh, it's
Just for information.
consent, and it's part of our annual obligation for reporting.
Are there any questions about that? Yes?
No, but
Sure.
would you like to go back in time for me? Back on the agenda? Because I did miss something on the information that I had in my notes.
Okay, which one?
I apologize. I would like to pull out the Chatham Kent regarding reducing municipal insurance costs. Report.
We can do that.
I apologize for that, folks.
Okay. All right, so having said that, can we move this consent report? Yep. So I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor McConnell, second by Councillor Lockett. All in favor? Great, thank you. 9 is committee reports. There's no items under committee reports. 10 is mayor. I went and helped out the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal yesterday. They were doing a fundraiser for Spencerville Business Association, and I ended up eating a pie over that. We did pies in the face, but they raised $220 and my skin's a lot softer now. So. It was for a good cause.
What kind of a pie was it?
Just cream pie. But it was all good, all for a good cause, but they owe us one. So if we think of any, we can't make them shave their heads because I think 4 of them have shaved heads, but we'll figure out some sort of fundraiser.
Dunking tank or
Get
something.
them back, yeah.
I like that idea.
So what we've done here is on 11, outside boards, committees and commissions, we've kind of listed meetings are in order based on seating. Okay. So we've kind of listed, Councillor Burton, you're going to go first. Do you have anything to speak to on the Prescott Library Board or St. Lawrence Shakespeare Board or the Walker House Board?
Just something very quickly, the St. Lawrence Shakespeare, we will be announcing the shows very shortly.
Oh,
Yeah, stay tuned. Right, stay tuned. And the library, we have 43 new members as of January, so our attendance is really increasing.
very good. Thank you, Councillor Burton.
You're welcome.
Councillor Campbell, you're listed for fire services.
Yeah, I attended the fire administration meeting on March 7th and got an amazing fire department. I'm learning. They put out the fire at Boomers very quickly, quick response. They realized that the insulation was this old cellulose stuff, so they actually had to pull all the insulation out because it can re-spark itself within 12 to 24 hours and get going again. So they pretty much said that because of their quick response, there's a building there rather than an empty lot. So that's interesting. They were carrying out cats and all sorts of things, which I found very, above board, but they've also been doing a lot of training because the province has initiated that they must attend more training. They've been doing training for fire hydrants, hazmat. They're taking a note-taking course to help them if they have to attend court cases. They have done a food drive for Leeds Grenville Food Bank. They raised 700 pounds of food out of the 3,800 pounds. They had the early years come visit them March 14th. All the little preschoolers came down for a visit. And they also received, once again, personally from the Prescott Curling Club, a letter from Steve Gibson for the Strathcona Cup because they were just overwhelmed with the fact that they got to ride in fire trucks at the curling event. So yeah, I'm very impressed, and just to let you know, we're in good hands, and they do above and beyond just fighting fires.
Thank you. Excellent. Very fortunate to have a volunteer fire department in town. They're professional in what they do. So I have Councillor Lockett and Councillor Young from the BIA. Were you able to attend the BIA meeting?
No,
Okay, so do you want to pass that?
what she says.
Councillor Young, it's on you.
So the board had their first meeting with the new board. They elected their executive, Linda Campbell will be the chair. And they looked at some lighting options for downtown. So they're making some decisions about that. They're gonna look really snazzy. And a group of really enthusiastic members. So it should be a good year.
Excellent. We look forward to getting the reports. All right. Anyone else have anything that I may have missed? All right, moving on. We're on section 12 is the staff reports. So the first staff report is 18-2023, our capital and operational projects budget. The motion reads that council directs staff to bring the projects that have an estimate and funding source outlined in report 18-2023 to the council meeting of April 6, 2023 for final review and consideration. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Burton and Councillor Campbell, thank you. So we have, this is a report from Matthew Armstrong. Go ahead, and the chair is yours. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So what I tried to do here is provide an outline of all the projects that were put on the list, whether there's a funding source or not, and then come to a final list. So you'll note that the 2023 approved projects, there's the Edward Street overpass work as well as F-dock and gas dock being replaced. That comes to about $1.3 million, and we've already discussed exactly how they'll be funded. Next, we have the health and safety projects. That's for fire department replacement gear as well as play structure deficiencies. Those are yearly health and safety projects and are also funded both by reserves. Then I took all of the projects that received 3 or more priorities. And if you'll remember, each member of council was asked to provide up to 10 of their priority projects, and then staff provided some. And so if there was more than, or if there was 3 or more, then they made this list. So repaving the path north of the pool, we would reconstruct that and widen it 2 meters. It's approximately 200 meters long, running from basically the parking lot behind Walker House all the way over to St. Lawrence Street. And we estimate that costing approximately $44,000. It could be supported by the infrastructure reserve. Our year 6 of donating to the Brockville District Hospital Foundation, we've already contributed 5 years at $30,000 each, and this would be year 6 and being supported by the Fiscal Policy Reserve. Town hall flat roofs, obviously $20,000 isn't going to replace the whole thing, but the roof is actually broken up into a number of sections with varying heights and level of degradation. And so this would be a multi-year project for this year. 20,000 would also go towards replacing one of the HVAC units at Town Hall. I believe there's a total of 7 that support the building, and we would be able to replace 1 with that amount. So that both of those items would come from the building reserve. Pop-up site upgrades for lighting, seating, signage, and power, approximately $15,000, and fiscal policy reserve could support that. There was the project of offering a collection day for compost and food waste. And we have had the presentation by the Food Cycler program, and also a further report this evening to seek approval of moving forward with those units. This could be supported by the fiscal policy reserve. Marina sewage pumps, again, need replacement and could be supported by the building reserve. And then we took another look at the bathrooms at the marina and noted that in many cases it requires a cleanup, a fixing of the flooring, some things like that, which we believe we can do at a slightly lower cost. But there's also a need for a ductless air conditioner in there to be able to help support people when it's very hot out, to be able to provide a little bit of cooling in that area. And so that could come from the building reserve as well. And then also there is the looking at additional transient boat slips, and we do have 8 transient boat slips currently. And what we commit to is promoting that this year, both through economic development, tourism, as well as our recreation program. And if we find that there is a demand that we can't satisfy, then certainly we'll go back next year for further consideration. So all told, of all the 3 priority projects, we would do all of them with the exception of the additional boat transient slips, and that would cost approximately $156,000. Next, we took the list of the 1 and 2 priorities and noted, does it have to be done this year? Is it something that we need to explore options and therefore come back next year with a better amount? Or can we, do we have infrastructure reserve, or can it be incorporated into the operational budget? So the beach gazebo does require some repairs. It still has a few years left in it. And so certainly it's not something that has to be tackled this year. The pool walls, that requires a little bit more investigating. And so I would say that we would get several quotes this year and then bring it back in a future year for consideration. Again, it's not at end of life, but certainly something that we need to pay attention to. Light pole replacements throughout town. This would be a multi-year project. Instead of doing all 30 or 40 that require replacement this year, we believe we can fit 5 to 8 within the operating budget and be able to address it over a number of years. The pool building, reworking the internal plumbing. So again, has to be done this year, but there are some high priority repairs that we need to address, and we can cover that through the operational budget as well. Paving the gravel portions of Heritage Trail, we estimate that being approximately $5,000, and being able to support that through the infrastructure reserve. A play structure at Centennial Park is $25,000 to $50,000 that we're estimating. Again, I think we would develop some options for that and come back in a future year for further consideration. added at Centennial Park could be supported, and I apologize, I believe that was supposed to come from the recreational reserve, in which we believe we can support this year. Sarah Spencer, similar to Centennial, there's lots of options out there in terms of what you can add, but I think it requires a little bit further investigating before we commit to a number. Adding signage to the Riverwalk or to the routes and whatnot. So this is something that we will explore options in 23, especially while we're building or rebuilding the pathway that runs the north side of the pool. And if we have a new standard of 2 meters wide, then we believe we can get both bicycle as well as pedestrians on there if we do a good job at delineating which side is which. Paving the walkway from the parking lot down to the waterfront trail east of the marina. We estimate that being approximately $20,000 as well. Purchasing of the vacant lot at 175, we can consider that in a future year. Repurchasing the old pump house, consider a future year. Amenities for divers, we believe we can do that as part of the Parks Reserve. It would be to provide washrooms and change room facilities. Certainly something that was highlighted in our economic development strategic plan, as well as our tourism plan. Creating a new boat launch, we estimate this being in a six-figure type of project, so over 100,000. And I think there needs to be a lot of consideration as to where exactly that would go. Moving and repurposing the Coast Guard boathouse. So the Coast Guard has an old boathouse by, I believe, the Weiser, which was originally, and they don't currently have a use for it. And so it's something that certainly, they've offered if we have a use, then we'll be able to take a look at it. Again, that's a significant project, well over 100,000, and quite possibly a lot more than that. And something that we would kind of take a look at, determine what possible uses are, and then we could move forward. Adding T-shaped docks, again, if it requires it from a transient boating perspective, then we can consider in a future year. Creating Riverwalk Lane, again, that could be a fairly sizable project in the 6 or 7 figures. Provide bus trips to attractions. We'll continue to explore. Also, we have done a little bit of research, and Howard Bus Lines runs a number of those types of programs already. So it's just communicating with them, making sure that there can be a Prescott stop and being able to promote those types of opportunities. Hosting a unique food truck event. We're happy to say that Poutine Feast will be in May of this year, and we believe we can cost for that from an operational perspective, which aren't expected to be considerable. Overnight accommodations, again, that could be a private business opportunity that we see as might be on our land or on Parks Canada land, but certainly something that we could promote and see if there's any appetite for someone operating a private business using that concept. Going to just kind of move down a little bit. So tourism smart application, being able to, it was part of our strategic plan for economic development and tourism, and we could use fiscal policy reserve to support it. The drone for the building department for at-height inspections. We will be over our total amount for building permit fees this year, and which will create a reserve. And we feel that using the 4,500 for that equipment for the building department is a good use of that. As well as the zoning bylaw comprehensive review. Once you finish the official plan, once it's approved by the government, then you have only a certain amount of time in which to revise the zoning bylaw to make it compliant with the official plan. Again, we believe the building department reserve would be a good support for that. Changes to the crosswalk at Edward and Irvine. So we've done quite a bit of talking about that. I think we've received some positive feedback from the changes that we've made downtown with the rapid flashing lights. I don't think anyone can say that they've missed them when they are activated. And so what we would actually suggest is moving to that at Edward and Irvine, and which should solve the the clutter in terms of just flashing lights and things like that, that becomes very noticeable. It also is supported by the transportation that that type of solution is active and appropriate for there.
Matthew, quick question. The zoning bylaw comprehensive review, why is that so high?
So usually you have a third party that goes through it, a consultant from beginning to end. It's not as quite as involved as an official plan, but nearly. And so there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be completed and normally it would be done by a consultant. And then finally, the business registry support through business licensing. That's something that we'll have a discussion through the business licensing bylaw review that we're doing and can be done through the operational budget. So of all of the ones that received 1 or 2 priorities, then the total for those projects, if we move forward with the ones noted, is 129,500. The rest of the projects were ones that didn't receive a priority from anyone. We are happy to announce that the CSE job fair did happen in March, and I think it was very well attended, and even the town had a booth there for recruiting summer and seasonal positions. So from a financial perspective, what I've done is I've provided kind of a chart of all of our reserves. And so at the beginning or at the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022, we had about 8.1 million in reserve. In the course of 2022, we had some fairly heavy spending. That was mostly on the Dibble Street project, as well as spending for the new arena, which is a drawdown on reserves. So our balance at the end of 2022 is estimated to be approximately 6.9 million. So with our contributions through the budget, as well as what we would expect to generate through the building department reserve, then we're about 1.9 million. And with everything that we've kind of stated this evening in terms of the capital projects, as well as operational projects, that would draw down about 2.1 million. So the net result would be that our reserves would expect to drop about 192,000 from the beginning of 2023 to the end of 2023. So that's the report as we have it now. Certainly one happy to answer any questions or take any feedback that council might have.
Any questions for Mr. Armstrong? Councillor McConnell.
A couple, thank you, Mayor Shankar. I lost it. The first one I had was in regards to paving the pathway north of the pool. And a priority for a variety of people here, but you mentioned paving from the parking lot south of Walker House all the way to St. Lawrence Street. The pavement from Water Street actually is where it starts, not St. Lawrence Street, down to the pool washroom building is in excellent shape, and in front of the pool building is concrete, and it's concrete over to the pool. So the actual part that's in horrendous shape that only needs to be replaced is from the entrance to the pool over to the parking lot. So amount of money you've estimated here, is that all the way to St. Lawrence Street, or is it just the portion that I have mentioned?
The intention was to widen the whole area with the exception of directly in front of the pool to 6 meters.
6 meters?
Sorry, 2 meters, 6.6 feet.
Thank you.
I see, okay. The other question I had was in reference to the food cycler program, which we have something here as well, and we received a presentation on that. I think it was our last meeting. That was a priority for a number of people as well, and you've offered this estimated cost. you've estimated for the food cycle program, and this came out before that was a possibility. So what I'm wondering is, did you do an estimate or do any looking into what it would cost to have it picked up at the house once a week? I guess it would have to be in the summer, twice a week in the winter or something. Did you come up with a cost for that?
So just for the pickup portion, we're talking in the $90,000 to $100,000 range, which is based on how much we pay for weekly pickup for garbage and weekly pickup for recycling. The interesting part is after that, what you actually do with it. So you would have to take it to a facility that meets all government regulations in terms of disposing of that or putting it for composting and moving it into the recycling cycle. And so we don't currently have the capability to do that. So we would assume that we're going to have to truck it. And I'm not sure where the closest area is. So all told, we're somewhere in the $100,000 to $120,000 range if we're going to undertake a program for pickup.
But given the fact that the statistic that these people that have the food cycle list here, I think it's roughly 60 to 65% of the garbage that we're putting out now is this stuff that's going to reduce our regular pickup by a substantial amount, I would think, to help compensate.
So it would only decrease the amount that we take to waste management. So the tonnage for the disposal, it's not going to change the cost for actual weekly pickup. Also, like recycling, you're depending upon residents and homeowners to participate in the program. And for some, it's not palatable sometimes to keep their waste for a week waiting for it to be picked up, where they can just throw it in a garbage bag and it's gone.
Okay, and in regards to the food cycler program, if we went ahead with that, I think we all like that, but I don't know whether it's gonna float. If you were in a position that I don't have anything to do with it, could that be taken to our compost facility at the Public Works Department?
Yeah, so I think what we would be fine with is putting it with your compost or your, not compost, but your monthly pickup items of yard waste, or taking it to our compost site and being able to dispose of it that way.
Okay, that's good. There's one other thing. You can bear with me for a second here. Provide free tutoring sessions for computer literacy through the library. I'm not sure whether everybody here realizes it or not, but we don't run the library. The library is run by the Libraries Act and the Library Board. We're run by the Municipal Act. So while we have people on boards and we can direct boards, we can't direct the library. So that would be something that the library would come to us wondering if we can help with. So that might be a suggestion for Councillor. What's your name again?
Burton.
I'm joking. I remember what the other thing was, bus trips. There's a thing about bus trips to here, there, and the other thing. We have a lovely lady over here that arranges bus trips from Walker House to all kinds of different places for shopping, for shows, for whatever, throughout the season. And I'm sure she will continue to operate those even if we don't do anything here. So thank you, Susan, for your work there. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Young?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. Matthew, will the amenities for divers, will those washrooms be public washrooms?
Yes, that would be the intention. And we would, because we don't have any infrastructure in that area, we would actually look to do something that Merrickville did. So in a downtown parking lot in Merrickville, they installed an accessible porta potty. And they created a little bit of a nice roof over it and trellis up each side of it, and built it in to make it not so noticeable as a porta potty, and it is accessible. And so when I saw that, I thought it was a really great initiative to be able to do that type of thing. It doesn't commit us to having it permanently there, but it does provide us a nice opportunity to provide public washrooms along the waterfront, which obviously is very important for people using the pathways. And so I thought that was a great alternative, and then being able to add on a little bit of a change area just beside.
Councillor Campbell?
Just about back to the waste, if you're gonna be taking up meat products and whatever up to
So
the leaf place, would that not attract more coyotes than we already have up there?
So it would only be the stuff through the food cycler that process through it, as opposed to any organic waste. Because you're exactly right. We're going to end up with a massive amount of rotting garbage and food waste that isn't going to be to keep rodents from.
Okay, thank you.
What else?
Just a daily walker through the area where you're going to be putting this porta potty. Notice that the tour boat gets its sewer sucked, for lack of a better description, on a regular basis down there. So it may be the type of thing that we can coordinate.
Absolutely.
Operation,
Point.
doing both at the same time.
Yep. Yeah, the cruise line, we work with them and make sure that we coordinate their time, gas as well as sanitary pickup. And so, yeah, that makes a great point to be able to, if we can coordinate that together, then being able to do that.
All right, we have Councillor Burton, and I think then we'll wrap it up.
Thank you, Mayor Shanker. Years ago, there was some citizens that put together a playground fundraising group. So I'm just kind of putting a bug in everybody's ear at home. Maybe somebody's willing to spearhead a fundraiser to add on to our play structures in Sarah Spencer Park or in Centennial Park. It might be something. I know you did that years ago. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Matthew. This is quite an in-depth report with lots of projects and lots of positives. So it looks great for the town of Prescott. We're just going to have to call the question on this one. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So the next item is the food cycler pilot project. So the motion reads, the council directs staff to enter into a partnership agreement with Food Cycler Science for a municipal food waste diversion pilot project, and that council commits $10,750 from the fiscal policy reserve to the purchase of 100 food cycler units to be sold to residents during the pilot project. Can I get a mover and a seconder on that, and then we can discuss? Moved by Councillor Burton, seconded by Councillor Young. Would like, oh, sorry, Matthew, go ahead.
So we thought this was important to bring back a little bit sooner than later, just given the fact that federal funding window is closing. So it's a great opportunity. I believe I've mentioned that we personally use it in my household, and it really does make a massive difference when it comes to garbage. And then we'll have a little bit of soil enrichment in the spring. So what we're suggesting is a 75%, 25% in terms of small versus large machines. And then that's how we get to the 10,750, purchasing the 75 of the smaller and the 25 of the larger, total of 100 units. And then we believe the fiscal policy reserve can support this type of project. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Any questions for Matthew on this? Councillor Burton, then Councillor McConnell.
Thank you. Just a little insight, I grew up, my grandparents were farmers and they had a garburator. And used to always remember my grandmother throwing the food down the sink and had this little plunger and it just ate up all the food and then just went into their system. So I think this is a modern day carburetor, yeah. But I think this is a fabulous idea. I mean, people are going to, reduce their waste in their garbage. All the kids in there that don't want to eat their crust, that definitely could go in the food cycler. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to be a little bit more greener in town.
Thank you. Councillor Young?
You caught me off guard. Thank you, Mayor Shankar. Matthew, did they mention, I think that they had a warehouse in Prescott?
Yes.
That will cut down on our shipping?
So that shipping is half of what they would normally charge. They still have to put it all on the pallets and make it safe and that sort of thing. So they did give us a 50% discount to being able to do that.
So we have Councillor McConnell, then Councillor Campbell.
There may be 100 very disappointed dogs in town if we go ahead with this. Being one of them. What size do you have, Matthew? Do you have the small size? I know there's just two of you. That's adequate, you find?
Absolutely. For two people, we run it maybe 2 or 3 times a week. No issues. We keep the pot. It has a lid on it and keeps it sealed. We never smell anything. And so, yeah, I personally think it's great. For slightly larger families, if you have 4 or 5 people in the house, then maybe the larger one is more appropriate.
Thank you. And I was trying to remember, and I couldn't do it, but the gentleman that gave us the presentation, the key thing was the charcoal. All down, and that had to be replaced, and that's the $50 here I see every so often. But what I couldn't remember is how long is that charcoal good for? Do you remember?
It's approximately, depending on how much you use it, about 6 months is the estimated for it. And with that, the town can purchase some of those items at a reduced cost and make them available to those that have the products.
So you've only had yours since Christmas, so obviously you haven't.
Nope. We've I think we're on month number 3 now, so but it's going quite well.
You'll let us know when it starts to smell.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councillor Campbell.
I defer to you because you did have your hand up.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Shankar. Do we make money on this 10,750? My calculations is after we sold all these units, the 75 and 25, we would be $8,750 above our initial investment. Is that our money to keep?
No, so the total invoice that we would get, if it was based on 50/50, would be 33,000. Then when we're selling the units, if again it was 50/50, then it would generate $22,500, and then that leaves us at 10,750. So basically, for each unit that goes out the door, the municipality is providing a subsidy of $100, and then plus the shipping and handling is on us as well.
So I think maybe where you're stuck is, I think we pay for it all up front.
Yep.
And then whatever the people buying it, they pay us back.
And then the
net cost is 10,750.
correct.
Does that make more sense?
Yes. Right, yep.
Okay. Now, Councillor Campbell?
Is there a feeling of all of us that people are excited about this? I had a few people say, yeah, I'd buy one. So that's one point. And if there's a rush on them, what's the plan to first come, first serve?
So definitely first come, first serve. I reached out to Edwardsburg Cardinal that is now in their second run of this. And so they noted the first time things were pretty consistent and they were at the door. Their second one that they just started a few weeks ago is a little bit slower. But it provides us a great opportunity because I imagine we'll end up with these kind of sometime in the April-May timeframe. By the time they get here and we're able to start rolling them out, is that we will be sending out our final tax bills in July. And so we'll, depending on how many we have, if we still have some, then we'll put it right in our tax bills and be able to do that. If they're flying off the shelf and we have so much of a demand, we will take people's names, and then I'll come back to council and say, do we wish to provide another pilot run if the funding is still available.
So I would think people would have to phone, then you don't want someone to say, well, I emailed you and.
No, we'll work out the logistics part of it. Food Cycler is more than happy to kind of walk us through how exactly we're supposed to go through this. But definitely, there would need to be a form that they need to fill out if they want to be put on the waiting list, that sort of thing, so that we have all of the information available. Because the last thing we want to do is go and buy another 50 or 100 and then we have half of them say, oh no, I don't want it now. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we limited to just selling them to people that live in Prescott?
You can certainly clarify that. Also, if we're running short and we need immediate supply, we can work with our friends in Edwardsburg Cardinal to be able to help support that as well.
Yeah, that was kind of my question, like if we sell 100 right away and they're not. Okay. Any other questions on this subject? I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 12.3 is staff report 20-2023 operational budget. Motion reads, council approves the 2023 operational budget with total revenues and expenditures of $10,526,252. That council approved the 2023 water and wastewater budget with total revenues and expenditures of $3,014,288. And that council approved the final property tax payment for 2023 will be split into two equal payments due August 31st and October 31st, 2023. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Kirkby, seconded by Councillor McConnell.
Actually, no.
That's not, your hand's not up?
No, I have a problem with this.
Okay. Seconded by Councillor Young then? Thank you. You want to speak to it?
Very briefly, and you should be aware of it as well. We're going to approve the 2023 water and wastewater budget, and the water and wastewater, or the wastewater management committee that should be approving this budget before it comes to council hasn't even met until the end of this month. And given the fact that 4 of the members are from this body, there's no chance of it not being passed. But one of those members, it was from Edwardsburg Cardinal. And to me, it's kind of discourteous for us to pass a budget and then expect the body that oversees it to pass the budget. It smells to me, it doesn't look right.
Matthew, can you?
So certainly, the enacting bylaws for it wouldn't be coming back till April 3rd. And if there was any issue with that, then certainly we would bring that forward. We did promote or put forward a budget that required 3%. And that I think the board was fairly comfortable with. We went back and took a look at some of the other increases. We're seeing that 3.5 is more where we need to be. But certainly if council wishes, we can amend that motion just to remove that middle line. And then bring it back on April 3rd for further discussion after the board is met.
Given the fact that the increase that we're going to do is not until the summer anyway, I would rather do that. I think it looks better for our member who is a part of the board.
I think we can do that. So we'll amend that motion.
Yep, so through you, Mayor Shankar, I need a mover and a seconder to amend the motion to remove that second line.
Different mover and seconder?
Yes, please.
Okay, so moved then by Councillor McConnell, seconded by Councillor Lockett. Okay, so you go ahead with your presentation.
So just going to go through the budget timelines. Council requested more information on the Walker House program, budget overview and update, because there was one change since we last met, reviewing the overall budget and then the alignment with the various plans that we have. So in terms of where we are, today is March 20th, and we are looking at the operational budget review and alignment, as well as the project review that we just completed a moment ago. So I'm going to hand it over to Susan to walk through the Walker House program overview.
Do we need the seventh inning stretch? I'm not used to being alert at this time of night. First of all, thank you very much for your interest. I the council as a volunteer over the years that I've lived here, but never for Walker House, so I appreciate it. I can talk forever, but I will not. Just a point of interest, our building, we've heard many theories of where it gets its name. And it was at one time the head office of Warnaco of Canada Limited, and it was named in honor of James Cowan Walker. He was the CAO, and he was the founder and president of Hathaway of Canada, and much beloved by staff. And I believe, Pat, you knew him personally and had experience. And certainly when we had the 25th anniversary, it was apparent in the people that came out. And Betty, Mrs. Walker, his widow, came with her son, and they were just so proud of his legacy and what we've created at Walker House. It was a lovely day. The building was presented to the town in 1986 as a center for the betterment, education, and recreation of Prescott's older adults, and we've done that for 37 years. I've included a schedule, and perhaps you can look at it fairly quickly. Maggie, and in her talk, did a really good job of highlighting the benefits of being a center, having an outlet for lifelong learning, and pursuing creative activities, and we certainly prove that. This is our current winter schedule. And unless you have any questions about that, I'll just, for your interest, put that in. Oh, we do, yes.
So just as, it's not really a question, but just as an aside, one day Susan said, well, we just finished spinning class downstairs. And I said, oh, that's pretty impressive. How did you get all the equipment in and out? And she's like, well, what equipment? I'm like, well, the bicycles and whatnot, and spinning. Not that kind of spinning.
The ladies carry their spinning wheels in all by themselves, yes.
So not that kind of spinning. But it just kind of goes to show that there's a very wide variety of programs that Walker House offers to a number of interests across a broad range. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. That's one of the hopes, is that we can appeal to a wide cross section. So you'll notice we have wood carving. They also often carve soapstone in that group. We have a lot of talent, and gratefully a lot of teachers who share their time and talent. And currently we have a senior center without walls, which has committed to the winter program and continuing till the end of this month. And then we do have Zoom twice a month for art classes as well, but most of these are in person. I wanted to touch on our community outreach and partnerships at slide 3. I don't know who's managing this for me. Some of the things that we've done in 2019, we had a program called Caring for Our Caregivers, and leveraged grant funds to reach beyond our membership to target area seniors who were caring for loved ones with chronic illness. And so that was an endeavor, and often we will do that. I look for opportunities to use grant funding to reach outside into the community. AHA is a program from 2021-22, partnership with Councillor Campbell. On that, we focused on active, healthy aging. That was the acronym there. Offered a wide variety of programming, shining spotlight on some of our local groups. The Curling Club, we had a couple of sessions there, a couple with pickleball, trying to encourage new members, not only to the sport, the activity, but also to the clubs that exist in our community. We use our Senior Centre Without Walls platform to bring agencies who support seniors in touch with members. We've also recently in this winter run had Mayor Shankar come on the line, and Councillor Burton will be coming on at the end of this month as well. Oh yes, and a very popular trivia program where Councillor Campbell volunteers as well once a month. We also volunteer as a group at town festivals. You may remember a very attractive group of witches who took care of the popcorn at the pumpkin parade. We no longer do the group activities for the St. Lawrence Shakespeare Festival because it was so popular, everyone just continued on their own to volunteer for the festival. And handed out to you a little card. One of the community outreach programs that we're just starting is called Links to Wellbeing. And it will allow us to play a vital role supporting seniors in our community, partnering with healthcare providers and their frontline staff. They refer seniors to our volunteer link ambassadors at the center who will meet with them and make the connections to recreational, social, and service providers in the region. We've just begun. We've received some startup funding and really excited to engage our community partners in this important project. We actively also donate to charities at home and abroad, both as Walker House and from within many of our smaller groups as well. They take on projects. I wanted to talk about on the next slide our Board of Management. We operate with a Board of Management of elected volunteers. That always includes an appointed member of Town Council. Currently our council member is Councillor Burton, and we worked with Councillor McConnell through some very unusual years during COVID, and much appreciate that. The two ladies sitting very patiently are currently on our board. Pat is our treasurer and Joe is our community caring coordinator who sends cards and letters to people who need them. It's a very, very important role, and I appreciate their work and dedication. I thought we were up first, so I do appreciate your time tonight. We maintain a community bank account. We actually operate on a calendar year, and then as we cross and mesh with the town's finances as well on a fiscal and calendar. I have them backwards. From our community bank account, we pay our phone bill, purchase program materials not covered by the grants. We pay a cost recovery or rent of $6,000 a year to the town towards the wonderful building that we're in. And we have paid into maintenance and upkeep over the years. The aim with all of our programming is to strike a balance between being affordable and also self-sustaining. And board funds are reinvested into programming and into our community when we can. We are inclusive in every way. Our programs are open to everyone, and minimizing income barriers is an important part of that inclusivity in our community. Some of our most vulnerable seniors are living within very tight budgets, so offering the telephone programs and keeping our fees low as possible really helps those people to participate. And the board provides direction for how we spend our funds and use our space to best meet the needs of our diverse membership. General information, membership to Walker House is $15 a year for locals. Out-of-town residents pay an additional user fee that we collect and remit to the town. In 2022, we submitted $2,125 for out-of-town members. As of last Thursday, we had 187 active members that have renewed so far in 2023, with 96 residents in town and 89 living outside of the town limits. And we have currently 2 lifetime members. They are the previous coordinators who've retired. We don't give it out lightly. Our furthest away, it actually hails from DC, and she pays her $40 membership so that she can participate in these Zoom drawing classes. So that's kind of nice. She's maintained the connection even though she moved a couple of years ago. As Councillor McConnell mentioned, day trips are an important part of our programming. And in 2019, before everything shut down, we went on 19 trips. We go to theater. One was exploring the Near East, where we just collected a bunch of the area attractions from here to Cornwall. We took 112 people to Hudson for the day. Gananoque, Ottawa, Wakefield, Toronto. We definitely get around and really happy that we can start doing that again. I have actively engaged volunteers who teach classes, who work with me in the kitchen, preparing our meals, decorating special events. We do aquafit in the river. You may have noticed us. It's one of the things when COVID allowed pools to open up again, we still continued in the river. There's a dedicated group that enjoy that. And whenever possible, I do encourage members to volunteer and share their talents rather than looking to spend money outside. Another thing of note is that I do try to leverage our fund to purchase items that will benefit Walker House, but also the community at large. And an example is right now, Samantha and I are coordinating with Ballet Bar and Samir's for the fitness room that's being developed on the 2nd floor. We will definitely benefit, but they'll remain there for anyone in the community to use as well. And the last is to touch, and these are very broad strokes, just to keep it short and concise. Our operating grant comes from the Ministry for Seniors and Accessibility. We are classified as a Seniors Active Living Centre, a SALC. And as such, we receive $42,700 each year, which deposits to the town. In addition, I apply for special grant funds each year. In the past, using the special grant funds, we've had Photoshop workshops with Mike Lakingman as he was at St. Lawrence College. So those are a big ticket item. We were able to heavily subsidize those and make them attainable. And some of you may remember Kathy Donovan from Regional Contact. She came here, about 10 years ago for a special lunch and presentation. Again, that was a $3,000 event that would have been beyond our scope normally, but the special grant funds would and does subsidize those types of events to make them affordable. We also often receive funding from the New Horizons for Seniors. It's a federal grant program. And I accessed it most recently in a project called Soup for the Soul. We received $22,000 from them to renovate our older kitchen and make it compliant with the health unit so that we could expand our food programming. We received $8,000 last year. This was new from a private funder in Ottawa to expand our Senior Centre Without Walls program. And just the notes in the 2023 budget, revenue was $48,700, expenses $103,983 for a net expense of $55,283. Thank you for those numbers today, Matthew. Do you have any questions? That's a lot. Yeah.
Let's open it up. Questions?
I'm going to point out, you received that grant just in time to redo the kitchen. Time for the whole kitchen to flood out and have to be redone again.
Yeah, a lot of my gray hair has come because of that grant, and it's just one little line, but yeah, it was a lot. It was a big event, wasn't it? We had a massive flood and lost about a third of the building, including our kitchen. But the silver lining is it happened just as we were starting the project, not just after we'd finished, so.
Any other questions? Councillor Young?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. What, is there like a minimum age when you say seniors? Like,
No, and we actually don't use that in our, this is what the ministry that funds us likes to use, so we'll take anything. But we're an adult recreation center. That's how we brand ourselves. When I started, I was 40, so, but we have periodically had members that were even younger who happened to be available during the day and wanted to learn. One was weaving. Well, where else are you going to go? But Walker House, we know how to weave. So yeah, it's sometimes the funding is dependent on the majority of our programming for 55 and up, but it's not so tight that there isn't wiggle room there.
How do you access the second floor?
We have to do it by stairs.
Okay.
So the building is accessible on the main floor. So right now upstairs is my office, craft supply room, and our library and a jigsaw puzzle library. So we just, if there is someone that wants to access those things, it's a simple matter of me going to get something. We make it work. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Anyone else? For Susan? No? Okay, thank you. Good job.
I did want to note that you don't have to sit through the rest of the presentation for our guests. And as well as Susan, I know it can make for a late evening, so it's not, hey, I'm good. I can go too. So I'll just walk through kind of the budget overview and update. So since our last meeting, St. Lawrence Lodge came back with an 11% increase, for the municipal share. And so I added that to the budget, which added 0.18% to the tax levy to offset. And the increase was about 11,000 more than we thought it was going to be. So instead of being approximately 10,000, it was a little over 20.
Thank you.
So at this moment, the property tax increase, rate increase is at 3.68%, and that's only on the municipal side. I'll get to what it means the rest of it. So just providing some context, Brockville is going up by 8.19%. Augusta is 3.5% on their portion. United Counties is 6.87 on their portion. Rideau Lakes is up by 3.76, with the United Counties at 6.87. Lees and Thousand Islands is 4.2, with the United Counties at 6.87. Edwardsburg Cardinal is 2.81, with the United Counties at 6.87. And then I believe Elizabeth Italy is 4 point something, plus the United Counties portion.
Matthew, can you just, either for the people at home or the people in the audience, explain to us how Augusta's portion, for example, at 6.87, how that affects their taxpayers compared to our portion of the Joint Services Committee of the United Counties?
Certainly. So in a single tier municipality, and in Leeds and Greville, there are 3 single tier municipalities, that's being Prescott, Brockville, and Gananoque. We don't fall under the auspices of the United Counties, but we do participate in joint services programs such as child care, Ontario Works program, housing, paramedics, as well as provincial offenses. And so we incorporate those increases as part of our budget. And I think you'll remember that they started off with an 18% increase. They were able to whittle it down to a little less than 10. And so that's incorporated in our overall increase of 3.68. Whereas if you're a 2-tier municipality, then there's 10 in Leeds and Greville. There's a total of 13 municipalities. 3 of them are single tier, and the other 10 are 2-tier municipalities. They have a portion that is set just for their municipality, and usually it's to do all of the things that are that municipality. So they don't take care of county roads. So that goes to the county portion. Or all of those joint services ends up in the county portion. So there's 2 portions of their tax bills. One is for the municipality only. The other is for the upper tier municipality. And then those combined together will result in the overall increase. So usually it's kind of a 1/3, 2/3 type of sharing, where 2/3 of a municipal in a two-tier system is particular to that municipality, and 1/3 is applicable to the upper tier.
Perfect. Thank you, Matthew. So when we say ours is 3.68, that's what ours is. Whereas neighboring municipalities will say 3.5, but then when you add in the 6.87, it's really probably closer to 5%, right?
Correct.
Thank you. That's good.
So talking a little bit about where come and gone. So last time we talked about fees and revenue of just 3.85 million. Our base property taxes is about 5.9. We added the 2.5% in relation to inflation, the 1% dedicated to the infrastructure reserve, and then the 0.18 to address the St. Lawrence Lodge being at 11% instead of 5%. Then we have payments in lieu, and then the rec complex. We also talked about it at our last meeting in terms of what that effect would have on this year. So that brings us to a total revenue of $10.5 million. Our expenses as of February 6th were 10.3. Then we added the 1% for the infrastructure reserve. We had a number of adjustments for joint services, health unit and St. Lawrence Lodge levy to actual versus what they as increases. And then again, the rec complex to bring a total of our expenses to 10.5 million. So with that, we're contributing $1.2 million to reserve. We're pulling 30,000 out to support purchases from the fire department for a net increase of 1.183. And then 432,000 based on this budget at this point would go into water and wastewater reserves. So that relates back to the exact numbers that we talked about in the project report. When you get to the end, I've kind of shown exactly how those numbers correlate back. From a budget review standpoint, so short-term interest, it's increasing from where we thought it would be with COVID and the overall economy. We're earning 3 or 4% high interest, and that dropped to less than 1%. And so now it's back to high 4%. And so we're earning more on our excess cash. We're expecting higher building permit fees due to a couple of large projects, and anything that is over and above what we spend on the building department goes into a reserve. There's a $72,000 decrease in OSIF funding, and we say we would decrease the paving budget to offset that because it's also supporting the bridge project this year. There's $15,000 decrease in bag take revenue, and what we're seeing is with people being allowed to use pretty much their choice of size of bag, we're seeing fewer tags being purchased as opposed to the bags. We also saw a decrease in the number of tons that were picked up last year, and so we're just seeing less usage overall. Recreation complex, we talked about that being about 146,000 for revenue from September to December. There was 0% increase in our current value property assessment, which is still based in 2016 values. The budget currently includes an increase for our property taxes of 3.68%, which is inclusive of 1% dedicated to infrastructure. And the budget also includes a 3.5% increase to water and wastewater, but we will hold off on approving that until we've had a chance to meet at the wastewater management board meeting. So from total revenue perspective, that's kind of just talking about each of those departments, exactly where the revenue comes in, and very similar to the number that we just talked about. The only difference between the bottom line number and the number we just talked about at the 10.5 is the water and wastewater revenue. When we talk about expenses, consumer price index for January is at 5.9%, and the average for the last 12 months was 6.8. That's certainly having a pressure on a lot of our costs, and some of our contracts are directly related to the consumer price index. Our OPP contract, from a positive note, went down by 47,000. And then we also decreased the paving budget by 72 with the offset from the OSIF grant. 50,000 was increase in liability and property insurance premiums, 2% cost of living increase for both unionized and non-unionized staff, increase in St. Lawrence Lodge levy, as well as increase in our waste collection, joint services, and the offsetting expenses for the new community center between September and December. All told, again, 13.5 million. The only difference between the 10.5 million and the 13.5 that you're seeing here is the water and wastewater expenses. Then we go through budget alignment. And so going through our strategic plan, so downtown reinvigoration was one of our economic development focuses. And we are moving the farmers market to allow for weekend closures of the promenade area. Pop-up shops and lighthouse and parkette projects are all on the slate for this year. Hotel attraction and readiness. We're very happy that hotel will be beginning construction this year. 401, commercial attraction and readiness. We're working with developers to bring projects to fruition. The official plan review was completed last year, and the zoning bylaw review will start in 2023. From a tourism development standpoint, continuing to focus on St. Lawrence Shakespeare Festival and supporting them, Fort Town Night Run, Folk Fest, Fort Wellington, Pike Friendly Community, and Poutine Fest event for this year. And regional transportation was also part of our strategic plan, where River Route is continuing in operation. So community development, leisure and cultural development. We have the construction of the Land Chartrand Community Center, which will be completed in this year. Recreation library rollout in Centennial Park in this year. Focus on our third party or our partnerships with third parties. So this will be the third year for our partnership with the YMCA for the pool. We're very happy with how the Leo Boylan Community Center continues to increase in its usage, including multiple pickleball sessions per week, family day event, Canada Day event, Connect Youth after school program, which is run multiple days per week, the LG approved trade show, roller skating, and then also third party usage of that facility. Youth programming engagement, we're looking to create a youth advisory group in 2023, as well as Connect Youth is continuing to run their after school program at no cost to the town other than providing the space. And then heritage preservation, continuing to support heritage through a CIP program and continued investment in providing for year-round operation of the museum. So from an infrastructure perspective, we were looking at infrastructure improvement and growth. So obviously the Land Chartrand Community Center we completed this year is a major accomplishment. The outdoor recreational areas at the Seymour Recreation Complex will start this year. Major projects for 2023 is the bridge rehabilitation and water tower replacement. Replacement of the fire rescue vehicle, which was ordered last year, will arrive next year. And then maintain or recreation facilities and assets, maintaining play structures to address safety deficiencies, as well as replacement of our F and our gas docks. So that means over the last 2 years, we'll have replaced 4 out of the 8 docks that are at the marina, which is a significant investment and obviously moving us in the right direction. Aligning with our service delivery review that we completed a couple of years ago. So asset management, we continue to enhance and update policies and procedures. We'll be working with Township of Augusta to work on those together. And then the joint task force with Augusta is ongoing along with our tri-council meetings. So that's the budget as we currently have it. I'm more than happy to answer any questions and for consideration by council.
Thank you, Matthew. Good job with the numbers there. Does anyone have any questions for Matthew? No one?
Sounds like he's off the hook.
Sounds like it. You did a really good job, Matthew. There's no questions.
Too thorough.
So I guess we will call the question. All in favor of the budget?
With the amendment.
So through you, so this motion was amended. So the first motion would be to amend the main motion, and I had a mover, Councillor McConnell, Councillor Burton. So that would be the first motion to move.
Okay, this is the amended one?
Yeah, to remove that council approved the 2023 water and wastewater budget with the total revenues and expenditures of $3,014,288.
To remove that one?
To remove that from the main motion.
All in favor? Thank you.
And now it's the original motion as amended with that.
So now the original motion, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wilkin.
Mayor Shanker, we've already approved it and I'm voting in favor of it, but I think it would be useful if Matthew indicated during the 2 years of COVID what our increase in the budget was, what tax increase did we approve for those 2 years?
So in 2020, we had a 0% tax increase. In 2021, we had a 1.25%.
Thank you very much. I think that shows that in the great troubled time that we held the line almost totally. And while I'm normally on the bottom end of any tax increase, I think that the 3.68% here that we've approved tonight is more than fair.
Well, when you compare around, no, it's pretty good. All right, thank you, sir. 13 is resolutions. There's no resolutions tonight. 14 is bylaws. There's no bylaws tonight. 15 is new business. The first one is 15.1 is a resolution from the town of Grimsby. Council Burton requested this motion be broken out at the March 6th council meeting. You want to speak on that, Council Burton?
Very briefly, it's all about breaking down the barriers for women in politics against discrimination and harassment, and just making every woman feel equal in the political world.
Very cool. Any questions on this resolution? Councilor McConnell?
Not a question, but a comment. Just looking around our chamber here, I don't think anybody would argue that ladies have trouble getting elected in the town of Prescott. Looking at our past history, we've had 2 female members of parliament that represented us here. Our own Jean Castleman Watts from Prescott. That being one, and we've had several ladies who represent their parties in both not municipal, but provincial and federal elections. So the fact that I don't think we have an issue here with ladies being able to further themselves in politics does not mean that they don't other places. And that's part of the whole deal of bringing these things to council, and I think it was a very good thing that you did, is that we support people in other areas when we have the opportunity to do so. So thank you for bringing that forward, and it's well put.
Thank you, Councilor McConnell. All right, anyone else have any discussion on that? Okay, what do we do now?
So through you, Mayor Shankar, if council wish to support that resolution, we can move a motion doing so that would support the resolution of the town of Grimsby, and that a copy of the resolution be circulated as well.
Can I just get a show of hands to see if council wants to support this resolution? All in favor? Yeah, good. So do we bring this back to next meeting as a motion?
No, so this is a motion now, so if I can have a mover and a seconder.
Moved by Councilor Burton, second by Councilor Kirkby, and everyone was in favor.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is 15.2 for the municipality of Trent Lakes. Councilor McConnell requested this motion. Councilor McConnell, you want to speak on this motion?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. I don't think should be any surprise to 5 people here, and I'll excuse Tracy because unfortunately you weren't here due to a death in the family, but this is in regards to a member of council, not our member of council, but a member of council in the municipality of Trent Lakes being unhappy or unsatisfied with the oath of office that councillors have to take. And he brought that dissatisfaction to his council. His council heard the argument, it was discussed, and they agreed with him. And the motion that they agreed to is what was sent on to us. Now, the part of the oath that he was in disagreement with, actually it wasn't a disagreement, he wanted to add a line to the oath. And the line that he wanted to add to the oath is, let's see here. I will faithfully observe the laws of Canada, including the Constitution, which recognizes and affirms the Aboriginal and treaty rights of First Nations, Inuit, Métis peoples, and further that it be forward, blah, blah, blah. The rights of all Canadians are enshrined in the Constitution, which we brought home from Britain in 1982. That sets out words that we do not limit people in what they do, where they do it. It's an all-encompassing document, and it provides for the freedom of expression for people, what people believe in, freedom of religion, that sort of thing. This is an attempt to put another line into the oath of office. And the first part of that oath is actually something that Councillor Campbell referred to the media about 3 to 4 weeks ago, and then didn't care to comment on further at council. In your statement, you did not give any indication about Aboriginals or I think it was Canadian community. Hey, Mary?
Community people of Prescott.
You still believe in that?
I do, but it's how it's worded.
Not in here, I mean, you believe in that irrespective of what's stated here.
What I told to the media was that essentially we were voted in to represent the people of Prescott.
Can we stick to this resolution? Never mind 3 weeks ago, please.
The resolution as it stands here is a clear indication of a person who is not happy, who wants to add something to the oath of office that we now take. How it relates to the discussion that didn't take place 3 weeks ago is that I wanted to remove something that I didn't feel satisfied with in the oath of office. And had I been allowed to speak 3 weeks ago, and assuming you don't cut me off again tonight, is that I would have said, and nobody knows what I would have said because I wasn't allowed to say it, that in the time between when I wrote the notice of motion and in the weeks of reading that I did between them and the time that I brought it to council, my view had changed. You would have heard that had I been allowed to speak, but I wasn't. My view had changed, and the motion that I had introduced, I would have asked to be removed. And I wouldn't have asked it to be removed because I believe we should still be swearing homage to the king. But the reasoning that I would have asked to have that removed changed completely. And in my reading between those two time periods, what I realized is that there actually is a second oath of office that is available to municipal councillors who are elected in this province. There is a second oath of office. And the difference is it omits the fourth line, which was my problem to begin with. And my only request was going to be that the provincial government eliminate the discrimination that is provided by only allowing certain people who are elected in this province to take that other oath of office. That other oath of office is only available to Indigenous people. Given the facts of the polls that have been taken in Canada in the last few years, more than 50% of this country believe that we should no longer have an association with the king or queen as our head of state. That's in virtually every poll that's been taken. It's over 50%. And given that fact, then I would request that the provincial government allow the majority of people that disagree with that line to simply leave it out, to have the choice, the same as Indigenous people do, to either leave it in or take it out.
Okay.
That would have been my request.
Are we talking a new motion here, or are we?
I know.
I wrote a new motion, which I was not going to introduce tonight. If you want to hear it, I'd be glad to read it, but it was not my intention to do so.
Right. I think we're sticking on this one, aren't we? Are we talking this one? Or are we talking
We're trying to
other
talk
stuff?
about this one.
In this particular case, my feeling on what this gentleman and what this motion says is not something I could support. And I couldn't support it because, as I said, in our Constitution, which is referenced, everybody is deemed to be equal. And if you single one category out of everybody equal, it just doesn't ring right to me.
Okay, so you're not in support of this
So I'm
resolution?
not in support of the motion.
Okay, is anyone in support of this resolution? No?
Could I-
Councillor Young?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. I just wanted to, one line of the motion, the whereas the Truth and Reconciliation Commission outlines specific calls to action for municipal governments to act on including education and collaboration. That line I thought was really something that we could act on as a council. Indigenous Canada puts out a free course with 12 modules. And it just looks at today's Indigenous people. It looks at the history, present day, and the future and what they contribute. And just as a call to action, because when we heard Jesse Went, who's an Indigenous advocate at Roma. You know what? It's got to be more than words. It can't just be words. So I thought this particular line in this resolution really rang true to me. And we do have an opportunity for education. And maybe I would suggest that maybe staff could look into that course for us, and maybe we'd like to participate in it. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good. Councillor Kirk?
Yeah, so I came, to be honest, prepared to support this motion, the new wording. I didn't think we were going to go back to the other one and take a whole trip down memory lane on that. Long story short, I think we pulled this motion out to support the motion, or that was the intention at the time, although it seemed like that. And so I don't see a problem with supporting the line that recognizes and affirms Aboriginal and treaty rights of First Nations, Inuit, or Métis people and further. If that's what we're talking now, then I would support it. Anything added to that, right, is separate. And
Okay, so do we have enough to support this resolution? We have one, maybe two. Anyone else? So we'll move along then.
I would like to.
Sure.
I've always been in support of saying the oath of office to the king. Was philosophically that we are all working for the people of Prescott. But I've always been in agreement for the oath of office.
All right, thank you, Councillor Campbell. All right, we're gonna move on to 16, notices of motion. Under item 16.1, we have a notice of motion from Councillor Young regarding homelessness. A call to the provincial government to end homelessness in Ontario. You?
Thank you, Mayor Shankar. Would you like me to read the whole?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it.
Okay. Whereas the homeless crisis is taking a devastating toll on families and communities, undermining a healthy and prosperous Ontario. And whereas the homelessness crisis is the result of the underinvestment and poor policy choices of successive provincial governments. And whereas homelessness requires a range of housing, social service, and health solutions from government. And whereas homelessness is felt most at the level of local government and the residents that they serve. And whereas municipalities and district social administration boards are doing their part, but do not have the resources, capacity, or tools to address this complex challenge. And whereas leadership and urgent action is needed from the provincial government on an emergency basis to develop, resource, and implement a comprehensive plan to prevent, reduce, and ultimately end homelessness in Ontario. Therefore, it be resolved that the Council of the Town of Prescott calls on the provincial government to urgently acknowledge that homelessness in Ontario is a social, economic, and health crisis, commit to ending homelessness in Ontario, work with AMO and a broad range of community, health, Indigenous, and economic partners to develop, resource, and implement an action plan to achieve this goal. And further, that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Minister of Children, Community and Social Services, the Minister of Health, to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all municipalities in Leeds and Grenville.
You need to get a mover and a seconder.
As a notice of motion just comes to let council know that there is notice that this motion will come up under new business at the April 3rd meeting. At that point, there will be discussion and consideration then.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you, Councillor Young.
Long motion.
I think we got the gist of it. There's no proclamations tonight. And Ron, any questions from the media?
Yeah, this is where I stand. Settling into this, glad to be here finally. Question about the budget. So there's been approval tonight of budget package that we calls for 3.68% increase. First of all, it's a distinction that's frequently been brought up. So is this 3.68% increase to the tax levy or the tax rate?
Tax rate.
The rate? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I see the wastewater portion is pending.
Yeah.
And from this, just to the discussion, it seems unlikely that the motion will change. But if that motion does change, that's separately accounted and not has an impact on the rate, on the tax rate.
That's correct. So water and wastewater has to be accounted for separately and cannot be funded by municipal property taxes.
Okay, so this is set in stone, then 3.68%. I don't believe there's been a change to the education portion.
That's correct. So
the only other thing that would affect Prescott.
Correct. So which means the actual increase is closer to 3.1, 316.
Oh, because there's a counterbalancing.
Correct.
So 3.16, okay. You mentioned the increase for 2020 and 2021. What was it in 22?
22 is 2.85%.
2.85%. And has there been any kind of measure of how this would affect a median household?
Yes, it's in the report.
It's in the report that I can find.
But I believe it's approximately $88 per year.
$80 a year, and are we talking about 200, 250?
57 is the median household for Prescott.
Yeah, we really are talking 2016, aren't we? It's 157 median. The risk of earning a pie in the face for inattention here, you guys discussed the food cycler. I don't recall there being a motion. Was it a motion that was
Yeah.
omnibus motion, or was it?
No, there was a motion, 12.3, I think it was.
Okay, so that was something.
12.2.
Okay, all right, and that's from the fiscal policy reserve, right? So it doesn't affect.
Just as a point of correction, it's $82 for the average single family home.
82 for the average single family home annual increase, perfect, okay. All right, that's good, thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Somebody may be wondering where that $157,000 single family home is in Prescott, because the way things are selling the last couple of years, it'd be pretty tough to find.
So it's the median, and so median takes the number that half the number are higher and half the number are lower of those properties. And so that's how it's developed. Again, 2016, the numbers back then were much different. Saw in 22 and 23.
So there's no closed session tonight, therefore there's no rise in report. Item 21 is the confirming bylaw. That bylaw 11-2023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on March 20th, be read and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed by the seal of the corporation. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Burton, Councillor Lockett, all in favor? Good, thank you. Pass. Item 22 is adjournment. I saved that one for you, Councillor Kirkby. Can I get a mover and a mover, Councillor Kirkby, seconded by? Anyone? Councillor Lockett, thank you. All in favor? Adjourned. Thank you.